So good morning, good day. My name is Tara. Um, my guest today is Wendy. I met her recently through one beautiful person. Her name is Jane, your friend. Um, and Wendy is what is Wendy? Tarot reader, channel, all of that and more. Welcome, Wendy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah,
If
yeah.
you
And I found Tara about a year ago. I watched a video. I think it was Deeper Conversations with Chad, it might have been. And of course, I've told you the story times, but I saw her and I just felt like my heart just like skipped a beat because she has such depth and connection to the earth and connection to, I don't know, I felt like my cells opened when I saw her because she just speaks on such a deep level of connection that was really nourishing and activating for me. So it's really amazing to be connected with her now, to connected with you now through all the synchronicities and just the resonance. And I think it's such an example of our soul family and the souls that we do connect with from through all the times, and coming together at this time. It's an indicator of what's going on right now, at these times, right? And also just the perfection of how it's so relaxing. It's such a relaxing thought to think like we're just guided to where we need to go and who we're meant to work with, and just that flow and that embracing, and so it's just really beautiful.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm not so much into the cards, and I used not to be, put it this way. I was in the beginning of my new age career, call it this way, when I started. We all have those Doreen Virtue decks and stuff like that. But then for many, many years, I did not look at that. But then I saw one of your readings, and it was so accurate. The events that happens after your reading were so accurate, and then I saw another reading of yours, and again, it just like strike. I mean, it was just like she's right there. Like this woman is telling truth. She just know her skill and her art really well. So, and then we met. You done personal reading for me. I just felt I can trust you. I'm not that easy in trusting, especially because you that connection we have, every single each of us. It's very intimate. We all experience
Mhm.
it in a different way, and it's kind of challenging for me to share it with external world. Um, but in your presence, I just felt safe, and I can trust, and let go and just go with the flow. Yeah, so here we are after many, many little coincidences and little signs from
Yeah.
life. Um, this is it. This is the time. Let's do
Yeah.
it. And somehow we all connected. We both connected to sacred feminine.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah. So, do you have anything to say?
Mhm. Yeah, well, I think that is the connection, and I think that's what's rising right now. And I don't know about you, but just in the last week, I feel like something happened, like something unveiled, and maybe it's we're on the other side of Lionsgate. We have this powerful full moon. There was just like all this energy. I don't know what it was. The Syrian connection. I know you and I both have a dolphin, connection, and the Syrian connection with the Lionsgate. But I just feel this real unveiling of the feminine, of the power of the feminine. And just for me, I don't know if you're feeling this or if others are feeling this, but literally just in the last week, in the last few days, I feel like something has shifted. And even my daughter and I went out into nature last night, and there was something about the clouds and the color of the sunset. It's like the air seemed different and the clouds seemed different and nature seemed different. And so I feel like I'm still decoding this, where it's like every day I'm like discovering, oh, that's different. It's like very subtle, right? It's very subtle, like kind of feeling behind things, which is interesting because I'm doing this cleanse right now, this parasite cleanse, and my head is inflamed. So my sense of smell is off, and my sense of hearing is off because I'm clogged. So I feel like my other senses are a little bit heightened. because my physical senses are, a little, I just feel like I'm in kind of a bubble. So all these confluence of events, you know how it is. It's like everything, there's just signs everywhere.
Yes.
Signs everywhere that point to the same thing. But yeah, for me, just really feeling that feminine energy. And I think that's also part of why we're connecting at this time, because we're like ambassadors of that energy that are putting our frequencies together, for that rise. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. So yeah, just before we started, I went out and there was a lovely, lovely rainbow above. So
yeah,
it's so obvious. It's so, and I agree what you said with nature. For me, it's more radiant, and it's more. I can notice it more. I trees are more present, birds are more present. I can't walk outside not to see. Before I would go for a walk, and many times you go in your thoughts, in your head, and you would just forget, or when you're driving or stuff like that. But now I'm just like, and it's not that I'm doing something special, some kind of practice or something. It just happened. It's just that natural need within me to see, to experience. Um, what I'm left with is nature and existence, and that's, I think, the old world, if you want to call it this way, the way we used to live, we're taking stuff for granted. Yet every bird, every sunset, every sunrise, so special. I mean, it's such an amazing creation, and I think where we are getting back to cherish that, to appreciate that, to wow, something or somebody creates this for me, so I can be here, and you know what I mean. I think that's a big part of it. When that inner emotional state, inner relationship towards our environment or creation or existence or whatever changes, I think then perception. Then somehow you pass the test in love. Because you love, and then the love shows more back to you. So yeah, I think
yeah.
that's what it is.
And the unveiling of that which has always been there,
Yeah.
and that's the feminine as well, because the feminine is wants to give and wants to nourish and is generous and is always, open and unconditional and just like waiting. Like one of the cards in one of the decks that I have, it's the lover's card, but it's the woman is kind of strapped to this tree, and the masculine, the man, are, which is sort of representing our ego and the blinding and the conditioning. He's kind of bent over and he's on fire. He's in flames, and she's just like waiting. She's waiting for him to finish his initiation, to finish the burning away of all the dross that's in the way of him seeing her and seeing what's there. And she's just patiently waiting and patiently waiting. And that's like nature, and so I live half of the week out in the desert where I can see the sunset and I can see everything and just open sky, and then the other half I'm in a town, and there are trees, which I love, but it blocks the moon and it blocks the sunset. And so when I'm back in town, I have to remind myself to connect with the sky and with the sun, and it takes a little bit more effort. But it was just such a perfect example of how it's always there should we choose to turn to it, and but I relate to what you're saying too. It's like there is sort of this unveiling where it's like, hey, I've been here all along. There's just no film in between.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's happening. I think that's happening globally. And I think even people that might not be like what you were saying, it's just natural. It's not something you have to try at. It's just revealing itself. And some people might not even notice that they're feeling more connected, but it feels universal to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I so feel something clicked. For me, it was maybe a bit earlier, like maybe months ago. I felt that really, really obvious. It was really obvious for me. But then again, for many, many years, I'm not that much into like lion gates and, special date related portals and stuff like that. But this 8th of August showed me really, in Lion Way, showed me its presence and how real that all is. Really, there was some situation I just really had to let go and leave some stuff before the portal if I want to enter the gate. And I had to be really
Mm.
firm about it and
Ooh,
set some really
yeah.
firm boundaries. Because I there was some situation,
Mm.
it's something I could not
Mm.
carry with me because I need to go light and by myself. Um,
Yeah.
and talking about that, the one reason I really like you and your work is because you have a capacity to see. Um, People will know I coming from Balkan area. I'm in love with that place. It's my tradition and all the pyramids there and all the nature and the culture and mythology. It looks like something is happening uh, on Balkans, and it has a lot to do with Earthship. Uh, it seems like somehow um, the land and people they manage to preserve old knowledge, and now
Yeah.
it's just coming out. And we done reading about that, and there was really strong confirmation. So,
Mm.
what do you feel if you can remember from the readings and just your general feeling? Because recently it's really pointing me out Balkans area really is feminine. The nature, the seaside, the mountains, there is a lot of feminine landscape, if you want to call it.
Mm.
And if you can recall from our readings or your general feeling, how what's the story? How would you connect in your words the pyramids, the I was telling you about timelines and synchronicities, about Tesla. I'll tell maybe later the 369 story. How
Mm.
everything is so accurate, so clear. So how you feel all of that? What's your general feeling about Balkans?
Yeah, well, what was coming through really, really strongly in that reading, it was almost like that area had been uh, protected or preserved, where it reminds me of like the mists of Avalon, where it was just kind of like cloaked, like where there was a veil where it could stay intact, and almost because I remember a decade ago hearing about Serbia and hearing about that region and how the person was telling me, I don't remember the details, but how special it was and how if you go there, you feel this energy that literally can heal you and transform you. But the word on the street was, oh, don't go there. It's not safe. Like almost like, you just like everything else that's powerful in this realm, it's covered up and, the story's flipped and there's an inversion. So you don't, heal and you don't align with the natural harmonics, everything is flipped. But everything is also in service to the light. So it was almost like even that, like, sort of like agenda to keep people away from that area kind of preserved. It's just this, it's kind of symbols, the words that I'm using. It's just like capturing that energy where there was a preservation of something very sacred, where even the hijacks worked in favor, where there was just, yeah, something very, very preserved. And it also felt very clear to me. Whereas, we are in a holographic universe, so it's all fractals. Whereas there is this kind of like world, like what we were saying earlier, this sort of like global unveiling of the truth, the true harmonics, the true feminine energy of generosity and healing and life giving, life sustaining, right? Where that's being, it's almost like the dross and the darkness is falling away in our own lives. Like what you were saying, you have to drop the baggage before we go through the stargates, The same thing on the earth where these things are falling away, the hijacks on top of the sacred sites. It's like they're being dismantled from the ley lines. And then of course, everything that we're doing, each one of us that are here as ambassadors of this shift, what we're doing inside of ourselves on our particular ley line, being a fractal of that releasing, right? So all of it happening on every level all at once. But the pyramid of the sun being like, I mean, isn't it, to me, it feels like the mother, like the mother of them all. And there's that feminine again, where it's like what happens, it's like I almost can't put words to it, right? Like if it's held intact in that area, then it's almost been like, you know, holding. Oh, and this came up in that one reading, the goddess with all the arms, you know, all her 8 arms, where she had like a wing for like everything, you know. That's kind of what I feel from that pyramid in that area. Just a wing for everything, where it's just kind of like hold, 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 hold. And now's the time where this is all coming online. That's what it feels like to me. Does that make sense?
A lot, a lot. That's it's so amazing because I can see you have. It's not just mental memory, but you hold it within the passion. You're saying stuff you were telling on a reading. It's within you. Story is embedded in you, and that's so lovely.
Mm.
I think we all. There is no guidance. There is no for us how we do this. Well, however you want to call it. Is it 5D or is it new earth or this new reality that there is no instructions, there is a lots of books, but not none of them has exact steps, and we all need to figure it out, and we are figuring it out every day. And it seems to me like now when I was listening to it, came to me the memory, it's not just in words or our life stories or our projects. It's not, it's so much more now in picture, in emotion,
Mm.
in
Mm.
notion within you. It's whole sphere or whole space within you that works. It's not just thoughts. It's not just
Yeah.
information, it's whole thing. And I think that's so important. I think that's very feminine. If that makes any sense, what I'm saying.
Yes, absolutely. And it's almost like it's multidimensional, because it's reaching like through the spiral, where you have a feeling about it, and then it creates a synchronicity with like an image that somebody else has that holds that feeling. And it is, and that's why I love tarot cards, because of the images and the archetypes, and then the colors, you know. And there's so many points of reference, and I like to use a lot of different decks because of the synchronicities that can happen between the cards. And then all of a sudden you notice something in the room that matches, and you know. But again, it's like that multi-layered connection that's not just linear. It's like a spiral, and it hit. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but I'm having trouble with the words. Is like it hits our hearts. There's that resonance, and it is a remembrance, where you're pulling it from your own cellular memory, or from your akashic memory, but yet you don't quite have it. So you're painting a picture, and then the other person paints in a little more of the picture, and then you feel it inside, where it fleshes out even more. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I have to tell the story. One of the, it's not that synchronicities anymore, like little moments, it's whole sequences now. And it's all not all the time. We still go in and out, and it would be too intense, it would be happening all the time. We need to rest in between. But you inspire me to buy somehow. For me, when it comes to you, I always feel like Delphi. You know, there was that oracle place in Greece, which is quite close to. It's part of Balkans to Greece. It's also Balkan Peninsula, south of it. So Delphi, for me, for many years, I connected with. I would have that image in my head, like women laying down, like really relaxed in a clear blue turquoise water, and that water would do something. They would just be capable of having visions somehow. And one of the decks of the card I bought recently is exactly that image. She's lying down, you know, really floating on the water, and because her other senses are, as you explained before, are off, all her energy goes into that place where she can see, right?
Yeah.
So, and somehow from very beginning, I connected you with that, and then I bought that. I saw that deck of cards connected to Delphi, and I just have to buy it. And there is really beautiful beach nearby, um, very amazing rock. Maybe we'll put some images here to show people. And I just had that feeling I had to go there that day. and just to do a little bit of ritual, to connect cards with ocean, with land, with all the beings, connect with them. So I'm doing that with inviting elements in, stuff like that. I think that's really important too. We are guided from inside. Again, there is no clear instructions. It's just that guidance. And
yeah,
I think that's part of new life, that sacredness. And that's what I felt that day. Anyway, and now is the whale season. And at that particular place, I never saw them before. And so I finished my ritual, and I get to walk up to the point where you can see them. And I'm saying, okay, life is, this is all real. Can I see the whale, please? Just show me it's real. It's not in, we always get to little doubts. My mind is big. And I went down to take off my shoes, and my head turns, and there it was, beautiful one, and little mom and her calf. And I'm like, you're standing there. It's like, this is real. Like, this is so real. It's more, this reality, it's more real than the old one.
Yeah.
Because the old one, it's not much left that's of my interest. Like, we still need to do stuff, but we do it in a different way. We can still use technology and everything, but what we talk, we use Zoom.
Yeah.
What we talk, it's not. But what I want to say, it's that alignment, it's so obvious. And that same alignment I feel when I'm working with you on cards. So maybe, do you have cards nearby?
I brought them. Yeah.
I'm sure you did. So maybe if you are willing to shuffle them around a little bit, if we, because this channel, it's in very beginnings, maybe if you agree to, what's the message? What's the message?
Yeah, a message that wants to come forth now in this organic moment, just for this talk right now. Yes. Yeah, and
for people, for people that's going to listen. What's the?
And I do want to say before I do that, because something that you said really stuck out at me, and it's not going away, so I want to get that out. But when you were talking about how there's no guidebook, and we're just following our own flow, and we all have our own way. It's like the way forward, and it's kind of like what we were saying about, like, it's that remembrance, where we're remembering through our cellular memory or our Akashic memory. So like for you felt to go to the water because you have water there, and then the whale, and just all of your synchronicities. And like I will often do things like I'll just move physical things around in my house. Like I'll move crystals, or, it's like I'm anchoring energy in the house, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing what feels right. But there's this energy that's going, and it's making me feel really happy. And I can tell that I'm like working with the element, right? And we have this way. And I think that we're so trained in that linear way, or we have to go get a degree, or we have to do a certain format. But to just really liberate ourselves, to know that like our souls are guiding us, and to play. And I think you and I, part of the connection that we have is we have like that kind of childlike Garthian fairy like and it's, and just so I just felt to say that like giving ourselves the courage to trust that however we end up doing things is divine. It's like embedded in the divine, so maybe something, I don't know if that's coming up with the cards too, but so I'm going to pull
your little fairy ear, like out of you, always.
Oh, my little.
Yeah, those words also, we talk maybe later, but it's so obvious now. The whale is stimming, as you said, and they're just stepping forward closer and closer. It's, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so a message for now. Okay. That came out. Oh, interesting. Okay, so mouse spirit tend to the little things. Well, that's interesting. That kind of reminds me of what I was just talking about, like, the little, moving around this piece here, moving ourselves down to here, and just the tiny little things. Inspired to do this. I get inspired to do this and this, and it's just this small, like unhurried, no thoughts, just allowing things to unravel and however they want to, in a playful kind of way, but like the little things, one to another to another. Oh, wow. So then we get Fortune's Wheel. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This is the change card. But what I was going to say is I'm noticing that this is a number 4. The 40 collapses into 4. Fours have been coming up so much for me lately in all the readings, all the synchronicities that I'm seeing. And so the way it's coming through for me is this template building. This template building which makes sense with the 10 to the little things too, because it's like we are anchoring these higher frequencies through our body onto the earth. And so it's like we're the antennas for them, but how do we actually bring, because maybe before we would like shamanic journey, or we would like jump out of our bodies to go get some piece of information. But now it's like it's coming through in our day-to-day lives, which like, again, you going to the beach or with the cards or with something very physical and grounding, because we're anchoring this template on this earth. So it's like the grounding in the day-to-day, having everything be sort of funneled through our intuition, or funneled through like it doesn't, it's almost like this feels right, this does not, but this does, you know what I mean? It's like there's that exact spot that just,
I agree.
Sweet spot, and just doing like everything in that sweet spot, like even little things like, oh, I really want to weed whack my weeds outside. I bought a weed whacker. I'm going to do it myself, but I can't bring myself to do it. It's like, well, it's not aligned yet. It's like everything has to, there can't be any forcing anyway. But then coming to Fortune, it's like that sort of embodying this higher energy in our everyday lives in these little ways that we feel guided to is what turns the wheel. It's like what changes, what flips the script out of that linear, out of the conditioning, out of all of the programming, and into, it literally changes. We anchor the template when we embody it, enough of us, but it changes. This to me is a card of like it. The little things that we do change for the entire world and beyond.
Yeah.
And it is about those little motions in our bodies, in our lives.
Yeah.
And that being the most important thing.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
Us. It's us. It's us. This new thing, it's us. It's kind of same place, but it's us. Our little action, how we are, especially how we are inside, and then that goes out.
Yeah, acting from that alignment, and no matter who we are, and like me, I just feel like this, like really kind of like spazzy, like dorky person. It just kind of like, I just feel so childlike and whatever. And for a lot of my life, I had a lot of insecurity because I felt like I didn't know how to like do it in the right way. I didn't know how to. I could never fit in. I could never. I just couldn't get the linear at all. And now I realize, like, oh, kind of like the Balkan area, I was preserved. Like I never lost it because I couldn't get it. I was a failure, but thank God, because now, it's like realizing like that is what we're here to do, is to just flow and to just be our own unique divine spark, and to just jump off that cliff and trust. And so here's the Queen of Cups, and she is, you can see her in this deck. She's receiving. She has the crown above her head. She's in her sovereignty. She's very intuitive. She's receiving that, her own, divine wisdom. And, and there's the water, there's the water again too, and the communication of water, the water within us, that primal creation of water that communicates the truth of reality that's flowing through all of us, right? And catching that wave. And so then justice. This card has been coming through for me as divine timing, where like what we were saying, it's like it's real. You're like, it's obvious now, it's real. It's just, it's time. The scales have balanced, and this way of living is happening through us. Oh, I didn't even notice what card this was, but this is the Ace of Pentacles. So this is the new path. But it's also a gift. It's like it's a new path that you're on, that you've earned. You've done the work. You've laid the foundation. Again, the 4. You've laid the template, and now you're walking upon the template that you've laid, and you're walking it out in your everyday life. in small ways. But it comes with an energy of a gift as well, because, it's like our birthright. We're receiving our birthright because we're in alignment and we're living from our sovereignty, and we're living from that place of rightness and safety as well, because a lot of what's going on in the world right now as we're going through these changes can look really chaotic. And of course, like you going through the portal, there are things we have to leave behind, and that can be kind of like karmic entanglements and all these strange situations. And yet that feeling of safety, because it's just part and parcel. Like the old has to fall away. There has to be this crumbling of that which was false, but in its place, in exact equal proportion is the descending, really, the descending and the unveiling of that which has always been there, which is what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, feminine, that embrace. So that's really beautiful. I could pull more. I could keep going.
It's always fun. It's just, I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you like.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Is there anything that comes to your mind connected to our topics and, general moment and happening that we are in? Is there anything you would like to ask?
Was that a rooster?
Yes.
Okay. It's interesting timing, because one of the things that I would, like I was saying, I'm feeling that in this now moment, there's this rise of the feminine energy, this rise of, like, again, the crown, and like sitting on the throne again. And then I'm getting chills, and it's like, the question that kind of follows is, what's happening with the masculine energy? And then the rooster comes along and makes himself known. So that's kind of an interesting synchronicity. But yeah, I just think it's interesting. Like, there's a repositioning, within ourselves, but also within the world at large, where our inner masculine energy is turning towards our inner feminine energy. And it's kind of what we were talking about, like acting through listening, taking action on that alignment. And then what does that look like rippling out into the world, where because that is the God fractal, the feminine and the masculine energies, instead of being separated and turned away from each other in resentment and this sort of like rogue, following the linear rather than following the oracle that we all have access to, all those God fractals. Yeah.
He sees again. The rooster did it again. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't hear him that time. I was talking, but he confirmed. Yeah. So, but that's exciting to me. And that's kind of what I'm feeling. And my daughter and I have been talking about, we feel like, so there are a lot of changes going on, because I like to read the personal holograms as well, because they are fractals for the larger energy. So in our hologram, we're having a lot of physical things land that have been in motion for months, decades even, where little things like, she's getting her room set up where we're going to sleep in our own separate rooms for the first time in a long time. And we're having a catio built in the backyard so she can bring her cats, and, all these things where, like, once these things are in place, what it feels like to me is, again, that like foundation, like the template being built so that things can expand and develop. And so it feels like that's happening on a larger scale as well, fractals, right? So a template being built. And even though it might look like decay, it's like a template being built where this new energy can birth upon, and that being dependent on the right relation between the masculine and feminine energies within us, where when the feminine energy rises in her sovereignty and sits on the seat of her throne, then the masculine energy just naturally falls in line. He naturally turns towards her because she's magnetic, so this type of thing. And it just feels really poignant right now. Do you feel that?
Yeah. First thing, the rooster, he does that all the time. Every single time there's something important or thought come or something that I really need to pay attention, he does these things.
He's singing. Oh, that's funny. Your confirmation.
Yeah.
Funny.
So the situation that I was talking about before regarding Lionsgate in my life, it was exactly about that. It was about my relationship. And I saw really clearly certain stuff will not work in certain ways anymore. And I had to be really firm and really clear because it's just natural somehow. And that's one of the things strong still strong in Balkan culture, sometimes many times in not good ways, but the start was good. There is some kind of divine or creator or not rules, but the ways feminine work, there's certain characteristics about feminine and certain characteristics about male energy, and they both have different tasks. And now it seems, yes, she's sovereign and she'll do her things, and that not thing means she will just sit at home and be, pretty and da. She'll do her stuff and she will earn money and she will pay the bills. It's not. But he needs to take certain stuff the man way.
Yeah.
In Balkans, man, it's not what we see in Western world. I think we witnessed that male energy is being really diminished. It's everything. It's mixed. Like female, it's more male, and male, it's females, and then what's happening with all the gender. It's all mixed somehow. But then I think in original blueprint, there are certain characteristics that I hold as a woman and my man holds as a man, and certain tasks and how things. So she is sovereign. She feels safe on her own, but man needs to be there. If there is any man listening us, hello, needs to be there, stand in her. There he is, Rooster again.
He's like, I'm here.
Yes. And he's like really beautiful rooster, really proud. Just yesterday I was sitting out there. I have a little swing out there. I was sitting there and have really good time under my beloved tree. And he's just walking around and he's shook and just doing her thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. He's upright. He's, holding himself, not in ego pride but just, being a man. And I think it's time for that now. It's Serbian and especially Montenegro, they're really big, high, they're masculine, really masculine. It's in genes, it's in Balkan genes. And they would walk upright, like there is that, first the heart opens and that healthy pride.
Yeah.
I'm a man and there is a woman. She's in a physical manner, she's weaker, but I'll protect her. And I think that's really important at the moment, but for real, not just talk, like for real.
Oh, well, it's interesting because there it is again with the Balkan area where it's like, again, there's so much distortion in the genders and, and a hijack in that as well. And, even like that was another thing for me. Like I'm feminine and I enjoy creativity and I enjoy beautifying things and I enjoy plants and nature. I never wanted to be like a man. I was never good at it. I did have to, like develop my own inner masculine and have like a protection for myself because I was just sort of like, a sponge. But it's like to really value the feminine qualities. Like I went through a phase where I felt like I had to be more manly, and I felt like it was wrong to want to beautify myself or these types of things. But what I'm hearing you say about the Balkan area is like even that, like the genders have been, it sounds like, been preserved, like they're not as much in distortion. So again, it's holding that template of right relation where it's like, yeah, we're small in frame. Like I'm gonna weed whack my yard, but I can't build that catio. I have 3 men out there building it for me, and I need them, and I feel so nurtured and like cared for that I can have some man do that. And but it's like, the woman can guide in the spiritual because she's closer to that receiving, her with her intuition. And that's part of being a woman. That's part of the feminine energy. And so, and it's like that's the right relationship within ourselves, but it's also the right relationship between the genders. So I love that even that is intact. in that area. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
The codes are there.
Yeah. So what I feel regarding like world situation, it's West, it's all see it's kind of Rome. It's happening like what happened to Rome. It's kind of really melting down. All the values are gone. It's, you know what it is. It's chaos, and it's expressed itself in so many ways. On the other hand, I'm not saying East is perfect. Don't get me wrong, or Slavic world, but those it's kind of coming to some kind of balance, because there was Western culture, especially after, let's say, Bosnian War. There is on every single level, TV, food, McDonald's, was just, they tried to turn us Western as much as they could in a few decades. Education system, everything. And it works, but it's not. It's not really. When it comes to a certain point within the people, they would just reject it and say, no, you know what? We have better food. You know, we have better burgers, if you want to put it this way. We have real thing. You know, what is this? Like, this is empty. People can see more and more. And what I'm like, again, I'm not saying I'm not Russia pro or anything like that if you talk politics, but family is protected there. You know, family is a big thing. And I think what's happening, that powerful role of Western culture and somehow pushed aside Eastern cultures and values, it's coming to balance a little bit. I think East will prevail a little bit.
Right. To balance out the extreme.
Because there's so many qualities also in West that East needs to embrace to you know, and it's not that all is bad on the West. We're not talking about that, but like, how many Western we almost everyone speak English. Just start with that. Recently I'm talking to a few people about that. It's for Western, and I'm living in Australia. I live in Australia, and obviously I'm Westernized, put it this way, and so is Balkans at this point. But it's so, for Western mind, we watch American TV shows, you know, Western. How many Westerns would watch, I don't know, Iranian movie? Or Russian movie? What Western? We know language. We know your food. We know everything about you. We live your way. What do you know? Not you, but you know, Western culture. What do you know about us? And this, we have so many, Serbia, Bosnia, so many beautiful movies. Just yesterday, I was listening someone close to all this Tesla movement in Balkans, which we'll talk maybe next time. If not, it will be too long.